Good evening and welcome to tonight's Fiji Village Straight Talk. I'm Vijay Narayan and we are again very grateful to the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Finance, Professor Biman Prasad, to agree to come to our studios tonight for this live show straight out of the plane not too many days ago from Azerbaijan after the COP29 meeting. As the head of the Fiji delegation, thank you very much for accepting our invitation.
My pleasure.
Now, Professor Prasad, as head of Fiji's delegation, first time, I know you tried to sidestep other COP meetings when you were asked to go, but this time I think because the PM said you will be heading the delegation, you had no option. Coming back, what are some of the positives and negatives that you are coming back with?
Well, Vijay, first of all, I want to thank the Prime Minister for asking me to lead the delegation. And this COP29, as many people have dubbed it, as a finance COP, and indeed it was a finance COP amongst a few other things. I think that there are some key outcomes. In fact, at one stage we thought that the talks would collapse. And I must say that as head of Fiji's delegation and as part of the Pacific Small Island Development States Group and the broader IOCs, the Alliance of Small Island States, which includes the Caribbean and the Indian Ocean, I think this group played a very, very pivotal role. In fact, if this group was not there, we might have had the talks collapse completely. And so I want to take this opportunity to thank the Secretary General of the Forum, Baron Wanga, and all the Pacific delegates, including the Samoan Minister for Environment, who is also the chair of the IOCs group. And the outcomes that we've got is not 100%, not exactly what the small island states and Fiji wanted. For example, we had proposed a floor ceiling. We said 39 billion should be the minimum. We didn't get that, but we have a number of outcomes. The first important outcome is the operationalization of the loss and damage fund, which was established in Dubai, UAE at COP28. And so that loss and damage fund board has been appointed. The World Bank is the financial intermediary. And the fact that it is now operationalized, countries like Fiji and others in the Pacific would be able to access those funding. Then we've had agreement on the $300 billion per year by 2035. I think that's a good beginning. Plus we have this 1.3 trillion through mobilization goal. So there is a mobilization goal of 1.3 trillion by 2035. Again, it's a good outcome because there is a roadmap which says, this is what we can get. So amongst the others, there are some other good outcomes like, the carbon trading agreement, where, you can trade, carbon emissions, across internationally. And that again is a good outcome. So for the Pacific, for Fiji, when we are looking at a lot of immediate needs, I mean, as we know, our physical space is limited, but our infrastructure demand, for example, we need to relocate 40 communities. We need to build 700 seawalls. We need to rehabilitate, land damaged through, saltwater intrusion, inundation, damaged infrastructure. These are all projects that we can get grant financing for. And I think what we have agreed is a window. And the other important thing, Vijay, that's come out of this COP29 is the access. We were making a big song and dance about this idea of access. We are saying The fact that funds are available does not necessarily mean that small island states can access it. The complexity, the timeline, and we are saying it should be quick, easy, and a window for small island states. So I think overall, Fiji played a very, very important role. And I am very happy to say that the delegation, especially our young negotiators from the different ministries, they did a wonderful job. I mean, these people were out and about, whole night, morning, running from one room to the other, making sure that our position, the texts, the decisions were all monitored. And the ministers, and we're fortunate that some of the ministers came in the second week. The Honorable AG was there, Honorable Leader of the Opposition was here, and I want to thank him because, he also contributed quite well, in terms of providing some of the speaking engagements and being able to contribute because he also had experience. So we're very happy to have the opposition with us. And we were one of the few countries, apart from New Zealand and maybe one or two others, that actually had the opposition well in the national delegation.
My question also in relation to, you had a member of your own delegation, actually a fellow government minister, Sugar Minister Charanjit Singh. You would know the statements he made about it's a waste of time and 80% of the climate funding goes to Pacific Islands, goes to NGOs, governments for travel, consultancy, wining and dining. Yeah. What are your thoughts on his comments?
Well, I mean, I do respect people for their opinions, but I would rather have some of these opinions and views discussed not amongst members of parliament themselves, but in a forum that. But I think the issue, Vijay, is that there is.
He didn't get his way? Or?
No, I think the issue is about what's on the ground. I think in terms of delegation, when we said we are taking 56 people, and I said 90% of those people who are going are funded by other agencies. So what is happening is this is a conference of parties. You can only attend COP meetings if you are accredited, or if you have what we call a party badge or an overflow badge. So if Vijay Narayan wants to represent FM 96 or Fiji Village at COP, and you are from Fiji, you would not be able to register yourself as FM 96. You will come to Fiji government and say, look, can I have a party badge? And we will approve your party badge. You will fund your trip. You will go there and you do your bit. So, for example, Fiji Airways sent a board member because they had issues about this solidarity fund and fuel tax and all that under IATA. So there were some discussions. Now, we had to give her a party badge, but she was funded by Fiji Airways, a lot of the NGOs. Some people from Fiji were on other countries' badge. We have accredited a lot of the NGOs with Fiji badge. So they were part of the delegation. And many of them were really good because they joined the Fiji delegation. They were helping the ministers. They were helping the negotiators. So and I explained this, when we launched the delegation, we said very clearly, this person is funded by this organization. And so what government is spending out of the 1.2 million, if you put it as a total, is about 238,000. We will have the exact final figure, once we look at it. But the point is the delegation of government officials was not that big.
In terms of benefits coming through climate financing for Fiji, you highlighted, I had the Permanent Secretary for Environment here before he left, Dr. Sivendra Michael. And of course, there's 46 vulnerable communities from areas that are affected due to climate change. They need to be relocated. Of course, there's issues. Some of them are hesitant to move because of traditional grounds, etc. But do we expect, based on the progress made now, escalation of the relocations?
That's a very good question, Vijay. Let me just say this, that while this funding is available, we have to get our acts together, as a government, as a country. We need to be able to have the capacity and the ability to put up proposals. And in that respect, I think we as a coalition government have done very well. Our National Development Plan is hailed as a model plan which provides very clear priorities. Our development partners have praised our National Development Plan. The Ministry of Finance is working on a detailed implementation plan. And some of the projects, in fact, all of the infrastructure projects, when you look at building schools, for example, building health centers, roads, water supply, bridges, community organizations, all this infrastructure will have to be climate resilient. So in fact, if we are able to put up proposals for funding in different sectors, then we are likely to benefit a lot. And I am confident that given our implementation plan and given the windows for climate finance by different ministries, we would be able to get significant funding for at least, smaller projects. Bigger projects, again, you could have a blended finance model, you could have concessional loans, you could have grant components, you could have, climate finance.
So just a question on issues such as, we know the climate finances are available. You raised a very important point about access, because yes, the developing countries, it's all about access and timing. Based on you, and you're the Minister for Finance, in terms of your timing of that finance to be accessed for the budget cycle, by when do we expect money to start coming in?
So again, that's a very critical question, and Vijay, and I can't give you an exact answer, but what I can say to you is that, for example, the loss and damage fund is now operationalized. The World Bank is going to be a financial intermediary. We have articulated very strongly with the World Bank, and it was very good that the World Bank president, visited Fiji. He saw, and the World Bank has now come out and said very clearly that the time for conception, from the time of conception of a project to its approval, should be less than a year. And the Pacific Regional Project on correspondent banking relationship, for example, was approved within a year, and it's now being implemented. So even the World Bank, Asian Development Bank realized that we are concerned about access. We are saying, don't tell us that we have these big complex procedures, and sometimes it takes 2 or 3 years to get project approved. Now we are moving away from that. So I'm confident now, given some of the decisions that were made at COP29, where the MDBs, the multilateral development banks, have been asked to make it easier and more accessible financing for small island developing states. And they are also now going to provide technical assistance and capacity building in those countries, so that we are able to quickly write proposals, understand where the priorities are, and get the funding. So a very good question that you ask, and I think the agreement there and the decision by the World Bank and others is supporting that.
I think because in terms of the population, the issue is like, if not, they will just see the top meetings as a talk fest and no action.
Yeah.
So you expect it to change to action rather than a talk fest.
It is about action, and I think as I said, we haven't got everything that small island developing states asked for, but what we've got in this agreement is a good foundation, is a good basis. See, the other fund that we advocated very strongly, Vijay, is the Pacific Resilience Fund, PRF. The finance ministers earlier this year met in Suva, decided that the facility will be based in Tonga, the secretariat. We are meeting again in March to sort out the finance and the legalities around it. We have got $150 million already pledged for that fund. We are targeting about $250 million by the end of this year, and the final target of $500 million. And that fund will be specifically, this is a new innovation by the Pacific, managed by the Pacific, And this financing would be more localized to build community resilience, to undertake small projects. And Fiji would be in a very good position to access some of this funding and align it to our national development plans and priorities.
Now let's talk about poverty, Professor Prasad. We have talked about this before. According to the Fiji Bureau of Statistics Housing Income and Expenditure Survey 2019 to 2020, 30% of Fiji's population lived under the basic needs poverty line, and that was equating to $41.91 per adult equivalent per week. When do we expect the results of a new survey to measure the people living below the poverty line, and do we expect the poverty line to be raised as $41.91 per adult equivalent is quite low?
Again, Vijay, very good question. The household income expenditure survey will begin soon, and we expect to see new results and an assessment of where we are. Obviously, you have to consider, Vijay, that post-COVID, COVID hit the country very hard. The economic recovery has now taken place, and I'm very pleased to say that our economic policies that we put in the first budget, contrary to some of the criticisms, is actually now showing results. The last budget that we put out, and we realized that dealing with imported inflation, there are aspects of inflation that we can deal with locally, but there are aspects of price rise inflation that is external to us. For example, fuel prices. For example, food prices that we import. If food prices go up in New Zealand, the inflation rate in Australia and New Zealand is for a lot of people unbearable, for a long time, particularly after COVID. And so if we are importing stuff from there, naturally the prices. So what we are working on both prongs. We are saying that we need to build people's income. So if you look at the last budget, what we did, we focused on income. We raised the minimum wage from $4 to $4.50, which will go up to $5 from 1st of April. We put in additional funding for the agriculture sector. We're providing fertilizer subsidy, weedicide subsidy for all agricultural crops now. We guaranteed, minimum price of $1,000 for rice. We gave the government provided additional funding for the sugarcane farmers to take the price, the highest price ever in the history of this country, $105 now. Plus, we looked at other measures. So in the last budget, when we came into government, we increased social welfare across the board. Then we put in, we've spent about $90 million already in 2023. More than 200,000 students got $200 each at the beginning of the school year. This year again, we've also included 40 million again, and we've called for applications, and more than 200,000 students next year would be helped. Because we realize that the families who are at the lower income end, as you said, some of them would be in poverty. They would need this kind of assistance. So scholarships, no more loan payment. We wrote of $650 million. We're giving additional 150 million now. That 150 million is full scholarship. And we're giving it to 9,940
That's the conversion of the TELS.
Existing continuing students, plus 10,830 new students. In fact, the scheme that we put in, we are giving more scholarships, merit-based scholarships to more students, and the monitoring is much better. The previous system, the floodgate was open. We lost about $160, $170 million on students we don't even know. Students took the money, they didn't do the study. So this scheme that we provided, and we've increased every other pension pension rates again. So we have the free education and transport assistance of about 100 million, electricity subsidy of about 10 million, kidney dialysis 3 million. So these are the first approach. You provide income support. Then we've looked at how we can increase people's income through employment, through other assistance. So my guess is that when the household income expenditure survey comes on board, that we would have a very clear, picture of how we have done. And so if you look at the indicators, the growth rate last year, we've just revised the growth rate from 2.8 to 3.8%. And that is a vindication of the fact that our policies are working. Our policies are inspiring confidence. I can tell you now, in fact, the macroeconomic committee has put a very conservative estimate. I think we would have close
over
to
4%?
Over 4% growth in 2024. Inflation, Vijay, is also slowing down. It's down to 3.6%, end of October 2024. And so essentially, if you look at the $4 billion budget, about $1 billion, quarter of the budget, goes to relief to hundreds of thousands of families. And that, obviously, if you include 650 million write-off, that is income that is going into the pockets of the households, the students, as well as their parents, because they are not paying that. If they are working, they are not paying back. All they have to do is to save the country. So we can see the indicators. In fact, this year's revenue, I am forecasting that it will be more than our estimates in the budget, because the economy has picked up, consumption has picked up, investment has picked up significantly. DPM Kamkamida the other day said that there are almost $1 billion worth of investment that are happening. Hotels that were not being built, construction activity has picked up. So there is a sense of confidence in the economy. So we are hoping that by that time we get this household income expenditure survey, we will have a very clear picture of where we are. And my guess is that we would be working backwards after more people getting into poverty as a result of COVID, that we are getting back to a situation where we are getting some people out of poverty in a much quicker way.
Now, my question also is, all of this requires a great deal of strategic planning, of course, budget planning, where money goes. We don't have unlimited amount of funds to deal with issues. But just a question, do you have a team of specialists or experts looking at priority areas that the government should focus on, and how the civil service is executing this? How is this being monitored?
Vijay, again, a very important and a very good question, and something that we as a government, we should take this as an important, reflection, because you're quite right. If you put out a budget, from the Ministry of Finance, in the priorities are in the budget, we say we want to provide, for example, we provided about close to $6 million for boreholes. And we are saying that a lot of people out there in the rural areas, in the villages and settlements, don't have water, and to take pipe water will take a longer time. So what we did in the last budget, we said, we are allocating close to $6 million. We go and put boreholes so that people start getting drinking water, and they don't have any problem. And we've set a task force of Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Lands, Works, and other rural development. But if that task force is not able to deliver the boreholes in a timely manner, we've started from 1st of August. This is November, almost end. Next month is December. We'll finish 5-6 months. And I don't know how many boreholes we have dug already, but this is something that we will have to check.
For the people on the ground.
So I'm just saying, give you an example. If they don't do the work and get the boreholes done, the money is there.
The money is there. The people on the ground do not get what they
Exactly.
felt was supposed
No,
to be given to
I
them.
agree with you.
I remember, I just give you one example. For example, for many, many years, and people would know this, CWM Hospital, maternity hospital, it was said many times, you were in opposition then, when the then government, the then Minister for Finance would say, we will build a new 200-bed maternity hospital. If we go now, there's still a board is there, but there's no maternity hospital. So in terms of, one is the allocation of money, the other one is the execution. So are you finding difficulties with that?
Vijay, I have to be very honest. We have difficulty in implementation. I think it will be dishonest of me, dishonest of us in government to say that we are implementing everything, on time. We are not. In some areas, some ministries are better than the others, but overall, there are some ministries where the implementation rate could be better. And that is why we are saying that the new National Development Plan, the implementation plan that is being worked out, so you have a plan, we're going to have an implementation plan, there are priorities, we are going to go use that for the budget, we're going to use that for the donors, and we are going to monitor. So we have set up a monitoring and evaluation. So by January, within the Ministry of Finance, we will look at very clearly all the ministries and the usage of funds, the utilization. And if we find that there are ministries who are struggling, that there is agency in other areas, we can redeploy funds to support those. So we are going to manage it by making sure that we keep
Will you take action against non-deliverers in the civil service?
Well, I mean,
if it's obvious that they did not perform.
There are obviously processes within the civil service, and I think the ministers are well aware. I think many of them are working very hard. Some of them sometimes, face problems with the delivery and the implementation. So we are trying to build that culture of a delivery mentality, because you're right, the budget could be very good, the allocations could be very good, but if it is not being implemented on the ground in a timely manner, then the people don't get the service. And there are, as I said, not every ministry is the same. Some are doing very well, some are not doing so well, and we are hoping that where it's not being done quickly, that we will build capacity, we will provide support, and we will interrogate and nudge ministries to be more agile, responsive to the service delivery for our people, because the people expect the service.
You're watching Fiji Village Straight Talk. I'm Vijay Narayan. We'll be back after this break.
Oh my gosh! Oh, what's in the box?
You're probably wondering, what's in the box? Well, if you must know, it's actually me. Before you call the police, I'm actually an app. The all-new Fiji Village app. Here's an update. See what I did there? I gave you an update. What's new? Well, for starters, I look different. My new layout also comes with stories if you're looking for something short and sweet. I will bring you the latest news on the dot so you stay updated. You're welcome. You don't have to go anywhere for content because I bring the content to you. Not only can you listen to your favorite radio stations, you can also watch online video content. Which reminds me, do you love sports? Well, guess what? With the Fiji Village app, you can stay up to date with your favorite sports and scoreboards, no matter where you are. Your #1 news website just got better with an app. Download and get updated now.